When deciding where to take a trip, most people select a destination first, then find its coordinates on a map. It can be interesting to choose coordinates first, then see where it takes you. The coordinate system used to describe your place on the surface of the Earth is in degrees latitude above the equator and degrees longitude east of the prime meridian in Greenwich. For most of our history, there has been no easy way to determine precisely where you are on the Earth. In the 1980s, a system of global positioning system satellites was launched. Now, any interested person can buy a GPS device that can display its position on the Earth to within a few meters of accuracy. One such person was Alex Jarrett. In 1996, he got himself a GPS device, and after the euphoria of knowing the precise coordinates of his backyard wore off, he tried to think of a novel use for it. He got to wondering where he would have to go to make all the little numbers on the display turn to zero, precise intersection at the degree of latitude and longitude. He made a visit to 43 degrees north, 72 degrees west, near his home in New Hampshire, which he described as a nondescript spot by a swamp. Here's Alex from a 2003 interview with National Public Radio.
Came up with an idea to find and go out and take pictures of all of the latitude and longitude intersections in the world. I just decided one day to put up my visit on a website and put out this absolutely outlandish goal. There's about 64,000, but most of those are in the oceans. So our goal now is about 14,000.
He referred to these points as confluences, meaning intersections, and set up www.confluence.org to show all the visits in an organized manner.
Then it became more and more popular, sort of snowballed as more and more people on the web found out about it.
I stumbled across the website in 2001 when I was looking for an excuse to buy a GPS. I immediately clicked on the nearest confluence to Vancouver, out in the middle of Boundary Bay, and discovered that nobody had visited it yet. I rented a kayak, bought the GPS, and I was hooked. For the next few years, every trip was an excuse to take a detour to a random point in the middle of nowhere. Driving past Chilliwack, visiting my parents, going for a ski trip, houseboating, even the middle of the Australian outback. Others were busy too. Dave Patton, the volunteer Confluence website coordinator for Canada, made several multi-thousand kilometer road trips around BC, bagging dozens of confluences. A fellow named Targ Parsons has visited more than 160 confluences in China. My favorite is a fellow going by the name of Captain Peter, who has taken his merchant freighter to more than 200 offshore confluences. People have different reasons for visiting these places. I like the idea of visiting somewhere that nobody has been before. Even after centuries of exploration, one can still be an explorer of sorts. It takes you to places that may not be on the tourist trail, but are often interesting in their own way. With all these visitors enthusiastically logging Confluence visits, it's become harder for wannabe explorers like myself to get to an unvisited confluence. All points in the lower 48 states have been visited, even the last holdout in the secured water protection zone of Walla Walla, Washington. In BC, due to the mountainous terrain, there are still some unvisited confluences left, but they really are in the middle of nowhere. The closest unvisited confluence to Vancouver, as of the summer of 2007, was 51 degrees north, 124 degrees west, a mere 230 kilometers north of the city. Unfortunately, there's no direct roads to the confluence, or else it would have been visited already. The closest road from the south gets within 50 kilometers, but in those 50 kilometers are two glacier-covered mountain ranges. The route I took instead headed east up the Fraser Valley, then 664 kilometers north to Quesnel to pick up some supplies. Along the way, I picked up my brother Tyler, and we officially started the trip. Well, it's Thursday, September the 6th, and we're just getting ready to drive out into the middle of nowhere and end up at 51 degrees north, 124 degrees west, an arbitrary confluence point south of Choco Lake. We took Highway 97 south to Williams Lake, then turned west on Highway 20 for 90 kilometers. At Huntsville, we turned on to the Namaya Valley Road, which took us the last 100 bumpy kilometers to Choco Lake. So here we are at the end of the road on Choco Lake. the closest point by road that we can get to where we're going, and we're still 44 kilometers away. Choco Lake's about 80 kilometers long or so, so we've got a bit of a ways to go down to the south. Once there, we'll have to deal with 6 kilometers of creek, 6 kilometers of bushwhacking up a remote river valley, finishing with a 1,000-foot scramble up a 30-degree slope. For all that effort, I think I can be pretty confident that nobody with a GPS has been there before.